next speaker is Inonge Mubita. She's based in Sydney, Australia. She is a pastor, strength coach, writer, and aspiring therapist. She believes that we are all created with abilities that enable us to live a life with full potential and navigate through life. Today, she will be talking about using our strengths to cultivate personal growth. She focuses on that aspect. She believes that strengths are natural abilities with which everyone is born. And these are not just learned skills, but are inherent and unique for each person. So I'm going to hand over the time to Inonge.
It's been so wonderful hearing from each one of you. I'm so inspired. I've learned so much already. And I just feel like what I have is just like ingredients to the big cake that we're kind of baking right now. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about myself. So I'm originally from Zambia. I don't know if any one of you has been to Africa or you know anything about Zambia, but we are down south, we are neighbors to Zimbabwe, Tanzania, Malawi, yeah. So, and then I've lived in Denmark, I've lived in the UK, I've lived in Malawi as well. And now I moved here in Sydney in 2017. And yeah, I'm loving life here. And so I'm just gonna share my slides, just a sec. Okay, so just before I start to share with you about the topic, I'm gonna tell you a little bit of a little story that is gonna be connected to what I'm gonna be talking about. So I didn't grow up as a typical African girl. I grew up in a village, but I was never a typical village girl. You know, when I was young, maybe in 7th grade, a lot of my friends would be dreaming of, growing up and getting married to the son of the next farmer next door, but I was never like that. I used to imagine a lot of things. I used to imagine traveling the world and reading a lot of books, Western books, actually. So this story is, like I said, is connected to what I'm gonna talk about. So today, can you guys hear me? Are you able to hear me, Joe?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes, yeah.
All right, so today I'm gonna be talking about strength, and we're gonna discover we're gonna know what strengths are and how we are able to develop those strengths and how we can, deliver our minds, basically, or set ourselves free from any, self criticisms, and so that we can operate in our strength and basically for personal growth. So what are strengths? I'm sure most of you've heard of, because we are among coaches and speakers already, and already the speakers who've already talked, you've touched on strength. Most of you have touched on strength, and I don't think this is a topic that is strange to us. But about a year plus ago, I got so interested in strength. I don't know if you've heard of Strength Finder by Gallup. If you have, you might be familiar with this. Basically, strength are the abilities that each one of us is born with. So these are the things, for example, they are also different from like hobbies. So strength, I would say there will be something like maybe things that come naturally to you. For example, some of you might be very good at encouraging, You might be very good in a kind of a social setup. You're very outgoing, and those are your natural abilities. You know how to talk to people. Maybe you're not a shy person. You just get energized by the things that comes naturally to you. And I'll give you an example of myself. So the story that I told you at the beginning, like me being, growing up in a very small village back in Africa, and I always dreamt of, being someone big, traveling the world and everything like that. And in those times, there was no possibilities that I could ever do all those things. But one of my strengths is actually imaginations. So I imagine a lot of things, and I also have strategic. So for me, just because I used to imagine those, like that kind of lifestyle, I kept pushing myself. I kept utilizing, capitalizing on my imaginations to actually push myself to, to do all that I wanted to do. And I believe that through that, that's how I ended up in all these other different countries. And just on a small scale, I've been taught that I'm good at encouraging people. I'm not good in a huge social setup. I'm good with like one-on-one, and this is my strength as well. So, like for example, in times of the of COVID-19, what I've done, using my strength as an encourager, I've been, kind of just talking to people one-on-one, like checking up on them, how are they doing, and, just having little conversations here and there. And people that are really low or, like just facing challenges, because we have a lot of people who've lost jobs. And just, having that one-on-one with them, giving them the time. For me, that's my strength. It comes naturally to me. I can just do that easily. But I realized that while doing that, I've been growing as a person as well. So that's what strengths are. And I love this quote, and I'm sure all of you are familiar with it, by Albert Einstein. Everybody's a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it's stupid. And I think we do that with ourselves, actually. We think, for example, if you're not, I'm not good at ironing clothes, for example, and if I keep telling myself that just because I'm not good at ironing clothes, then I'm stupid, or you know what I'm trying to say, then that's not good. So what I'm good at is actually like cleaning the house. I think for me it's therapeutic. I love cleaning. So instead of like me trying to focus on something that I'm not good at, I have to focus on something that I'm already good at, so that I can keep growing in that and utilizing that and strengthening that. And with this point, it brings me to I think I've already touched on how, sorry, it brings me to how to, yeah, I've already touched on how you can discover your strengths. Basically, it's just the things that comes naturally to you. You might be, if you work in an office, for example, office setup, you might be very good at organizing, or you might be very good at with administrative, you might be good at numbers. So you can utilize that by maybe helping other people in the office maybe you notice someone struggles with like the spreadsheets, and you're pretty good at that. So use that to help someone. And as much as as long as you are helping other people, you also grow. Yeah. So yeah, and it comes back to how you can develop your strength. So just keep doing what you're doing, and keep doing what you know you're good at, and not focusing on what you're not good at. I think, like I said, for my presentation, I just realized that a lot of speakers have already touched on these things. So for me, it's just like an ingredient, adding on to the big cake. So yeah, then I have Sorry. There. Yes, I love this quote. Success is achieved by developing our strength, not eliminating our weaknesses. So I would say that we've heard, like, when you go maybe for an interview, job interview, you'll be asked, like, what are your weaknesses and what are your strengths? So we'd tell them our weaknesses and our strength. And I've also heard people saying that, we have to work on our weaknesses, but you know what, the weaknesses will never, they're just certain things that will never be good at, because it's not in our natural ability to, so I would say it's important to know your weaknesses so that you know your limits as well, because we all have limits. In as much as we would say that I've heard like some other life coaches would say, no, there's no limit and everything. We do have some limits. So it's good to know our weaknesses, but the most important thing is not to dwell on our weaknesses, but to focus on our strength and capitalize on that and let them go, like fertilize that and let that grow. Another example I think I would give would be a personal example. It comes back to like encouraging people. I remember I used to see at the bus station here in Sydney, every time I get back from, like, on my way home from work, I'd see this lady sitting on a bench at the same time, and she'd sit in the same spot. And then one day I just decided to, just approach her and just have a one-on-one conversation. And I realized that actually she's been going through a lot of stuff. And because for me, talking to people and encouraging people comes naturally, I was able to encourage her and talk to her. And then every time I'd see her at the station, would have these conversations till she just kind of offloaded her whole life. And after talking for months, actually, we kind of became friends, and she's in a good position. And that gave me the courage to actually keep doing what I'm good at. So talking to people, even strangers. Yeah. So that's just a little example. My presentation is pretty short. So so this is, you can basically, once you know your strengths, it's easy for you to change your mindset as well, because like I said, you stop looking at your weaknesses, and then you kind of you'll have to sharpen your strength and your abilities and continue working in that. And then that's how you grow as a person as well. Even in times of COVID, like I said, if we focus on the bad stuff that is going on, I don't think we are going anywhere. We're not growing, and we're not doing good to ourselves anyway. So why not focus? I'm not saying you have just to, to ignore whatever is going on, accept that, but just find the good in this sense. I would say find the good in the chaos, basically, because I believe that within us we have the abilities to do that. We are capable of doing that. So yes, that's it. So yeah, operating our strength in life and career gives us the confidence to keep moving forward. And you can have life happens to each one of us. So life happens to each one of us, things come, but if you know what you have inside of you, you'll be able to actually look, find a way out of any obstacle. Yeah, basically that's it. So I hope even if I didn't talk much about this, but I hope we can, we know how we can discover our strength, and basically it's the things that come naturally to us, and how we can develop that is just by, doing what we're good at more. And once we do that, we are able to kind of deliver our negative mindsets or self-critiques, so that we can, have a successful life. So that's it, basically. And there you go. If you wanna, get in touch with me, those are my details. I'll put the links as well in the chat. So thank you so much, Joseph.
Thank
And
you, Inonge. Actually, I'm not sure if Gary is still tuned in. Gary actually specializes in Strength Finder, actually. So I'm not sure if he's still there and can hear my question. In fact, actually, Laura's question. Yeah, Gary. Yeah, I'm here. You can chime in. You can chime in on these questions as well with respect to strengths. Laura earlier asked a question to you, Gary, with respect to finding that balance. I think also that question applies to Inonge's presentation on strengths. So sometimes we focus so much on strengths that we ignore the weaknesses and then create this imbalance, because there's also the idea that if we overuse our strengths, it then becomes a weakness. Like say, for example, in a workplace, for example, a strength could be, you could have a strength to say, okay, you are very deadline oriented. Could be very focused on results. But if you overuse that strength, you could end up becoming a weakness, which is you become a slave driver. you know what I'm saying? So yeah. So like, for example, a lot of people, another example, a lot of people pride themselves in being direct. Indirect, right? Being direct, and yeah, it can be seen as a strength, because you're just cutting through the BS and just getting to the point. But if you overuse that strength, then it becomes insensitive to people.
Right.
How does one find the balance between that strength and weakness? And Gary, you're welcome to chime in as well. And Inonge, yes.
Okay. I guess it all comes back to maybe awareness. So if I'll use, sometimes we like everything in life, if it's done, if it's in, is it should I say in access, then it becomes bad. So basically you just have to be aware of, just awareness, I guess.
Self-awareness.
Self-awareness. Gary, anything?
Oh, okay. I can't speak at the moment.
Okay. So it comes down to self-awareness, actually.
Yeah. Awareness is key and the first step to change. Yeah. It seems like that's the focus point there.
Yeah, and also I feel like sometimes if you're doing it for yourself, because if you're doing it for your own benefit, because I believe like the strength or talent or whatever we've been given by God, it's for other people. It's to bless someone else. So if it becomes about us, that's where the danger is. So we have to be aware of that. If you realize that, okay, just because, I like to encourage people, but I make it about myself. Sometimes we do that unknowingly, but I make it about myself. I can encourage people and all that stuff, but it's all about me, then that's where the danger comes in. So you have to be aware of that as well. But in general, it's just knowing what you're good at and what you're not good at, and accepting that. Say, okay, you know what, I may never ever bake a cake, but that doesn't mean I cannot make a very nice fish or something. You're aware of that. Yeah.
I think also feedback is really critical in the whole process. We all have blind spots,
Exactly.
even though we don't want to admit it. We all have blind spots,
100%.
and we think that we're on the right, but actually people around us pick up on those blind spots. So I think keeping an open communication channel with people and getting that necessary feedback is necessary to then bring that back to the self-awareness part.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Inonge. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you.